Hello everybody on YouTube, this is Super Nintendo and welcome back to another episode of Let's Ramble. So, I mentioned in a previous Let's Ramble that I am working on a big, long series Let's Talk, kind of talking about the problems with Dragon Ball Super. And I want to make a few Let's Rambles on some smaller subjects that either aren't as important or get a little too nerdy and aren't as prevalent issues as some of the other problems that I have with Dragon Ball Super. Today, I want to talk about the God forms and God energy. Now, for the sake of simplicity, I am just going to limit this video to Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue, and God energy as a whole. So, let's talk about God energy for a second. God energy made its debut in Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, and we didn't learn much about it. At all.
I presume. You've grown into quite the warrior. Alas, this energy from which you all draw your strength has no effect upon deities like myself.
All we know is that apparently mortal energy doesn't work on gods, as said by Beerus when Vegeta is trying to find Beerus. This is said in both the sub and the dub, so it's not just... In context, it's probably just talking about sensing, but if you wanted to take what they're saying literally, mortal energy shouldn't work on gods, or those with God energy. Additionally, we do learn in this movie that having God energy is different than simply just becoming stronger. There is some fundamental characteristic of God energy that is different from mortal energy. Goku received energy from Vegeta, Gohan, Goten, and Trunks, and ascended into a much stronger Super Saiyan form that, for the sake of simplicity, we'll just call this failed ritual Goku. Where he was really, really strong, stronger than any fighter in history, according to Gohan. And he was just a Super Saiyan with a bunch of, like, really cool sparks around him. But he didn't become a god. He did not ascend into godhood through this. And they point this out, saying that what Goku received was a superficial power boost, not a transformation in form. He did not become a deity. He did not become a god.
Transformation in form. He's right, I'm afraid, Goku. Yours was a superficial boost, not a transformation in form. You're still no god.
Damn, I think the Catman is right.
We don't learn anything else about God energy until Dragon Ball Super, presumably, when around the start of the Resurrection F arc, where Goku and Vegeta are learning God energy from Whis, and they learn that they have to keep their energy sealed in their bodies to not let it leak out, so they can raise their power silently without alerting their opponents. And when they do this and clash fists, Super Saiyan Blue energy kind of spills out of them. How or why this makes any fucking sense, I don't know, because this seemingly wasn't about God energy. It was a fighting tactic.
It's hard to believe they progressed
because
so far in such little time.
the thing that, like, the Dragon Ball characters have begun to rely on is sensing their opponent's energy. To know what their next move is, to know how strong they are, how strong their attack will be, like, etc., etc. This seemed like it was an advanced energy control technique that sort of made it harder for one to kind of give away what they're doing. Because if you don't know how strong their opponents, if you can't sense their energy because it's sealed inside of them, then you have no idea how strong their next attack is going to be. You have no idea where they're coming from if you're reliant on sensing your opponent's energy, etc., etc. But with the blue energy spilling out, this seems to give an indication that sealing your energy in your body is somehow related to God energy. So what it kind of seems like is when you seal your energy in your body, you either convert that energy into God energy, which somehow gives them an aura, or they simply stop using mortal energy because it's sealed in them, so they have no choice but to use God energy? I don't know. It's not really clear what's happening here.
I've noticed a problem, boys. You're both allowing your heightened energy to leak out of you. You must keep it within your body to maximize your power and keep your opponent in the dark.
So that's the trick. If I raise my energy but control it so it doesn't leak out, I can move.
Yeah, it's working for me too. That's way better. Pretty demanding to keep it all inside, though.
So is this the secret to divine energy? The pressure inside's so intense.
And that's kind of it. We don't really learn anything else about God energy throughout the entirety of Dragon Ball Super. We don't learn really what it is, how it works, what makes it unique from mortal energy other than gods can't sense it, or mortals can't sense it. And we don't even learn how much stronger this really makes you. And, like, the thing I said before about, like, mortal energy not being able to hurt those with, not being able to work on those with God energy or like, gods in general, yeah, that's proven false. It's proven false all throughout Dragon Ball Super. Continually, the characters fight against people who are not gods themselves, have no indication that they're using God energy, yet they're able to hurt them. And this is really, really stupid because Super kind of wants to have its cake and eat it too when it comes to God energy. Because it wants the God stuff to be super fucking important to a point where it continually hypes up the gods. Oh, the gods are so powerful. They're so much, like, out of Goku and Vegeta's league that they're just basically unfathomable. But it simultaneously makes the god stuff, like, weirdly not important. To a point where, like, Super Saiyan Blue did not need to be a god form. The most important thing about this form is that it is a strong transformation. It makes Goku and Vegeta stronger. Why does it need to run on God energy? It doesn't grant Goku or Vegeta any unique abilities. It doesn't make them incomprehensibly stronger to a point where nothing else is even a challenge for them. Why make it a god form? But I suppose that gets us into our next topic. Super Saiyan God. So, Super Saiyan God is a transformation that was introduced in Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods. It is originally a form that required 6 pure-hearted Saiyans to perform a ritual, or not pure-hearted, but good-hearted Saiyans, to perform a ritual in which they channel their inner light, whatever the fuck that means, into one of them, temporarily transforming them into a Super Saiyan God. Now, don't get it twisted, I love Super Saiyan God as far as the aesthetics go. I love how unique the form looks, I love the magenta hair, the calmer expression, the slim physique, the beautifully colored aura. And I like in Dragon Ball Super Broly how both Goku and Vegeta have to calm down in order to go into this form, which I will get to in a minute. There's a lot to like with Super Saiyan God. However, first, before I get into the one of the biggest problems with this form, and Blue too, as a problem with that too, I really got to get into one of the aspects of Super Saiyan God that I absolutely despise when it comes to this form, and that is its backstory. So, if you'll indulge me for a moment, I need to get a little nerdy. Put on your nerd glasses and get your Poindexter shirt, because we're about to get nerdy. Ugh. Super Saiyan God is a transformation in Battle of Gods, in the Battle of Gods film that is said to have a history of such. Many years ago, on planet Vegeta, there were a bunch of evil Saiyans who, I guess, wanted dominance or something. But there was a small group of good-hearted Saiyans who tried to raise a revolt against the bad ones. Somehow they performed this ritual. I guess they just read it in the Namekian Book of Legends or something. And one of them ended up becoming a Super Saiyan God. This Super Saiyan God ended up fighting against the evil Saiyans and easily defeating many of them, but eventually the time limit of the form reached its limit and the Saiyan reverted back to a normal Saiyan and ended up getting killed. Presumably because the evil Saiyans did not know the ritual or had no luck trying to recreate it, this transformation was lost to time, thus creating the legend of legends, the Super Saiyan God, a form all but forgotten by history. Sounds epic, right? Well, I will get into the problems with this in just a little bit when I talk about how strong this form is. For now, let's talk about the second origin story of this movie, or the second origin story of this form. The one that Toriyama said in an interview. So, Toriyama, in an interview, I forget if this was for the Battle of Gods movie itself, or if this was for Dragon Ball Super, but the interview goes that Toriyama created an ancient Saiyan named Yamoshi. Yamoshi is apparently the original Super Saiyan God and the original legendary Super Saiyan. How little that makes any fucking sense, but I will kind of get into this. The story goes that Yamoshi was a good-hearted Saiyan who wanted to raise a revolt against the bad ones, and he eventually turned into the original legendary Super Saiyan, fighting against the evil Saiyans, but eventually exhausted his power and was eventually killed by the evil Saiyans. Somehow his soul didn't go to Otherworld, however, and he searches the cosmos for a bunch of Saiyans to perform the ritual for them to eventually become a Super Saiyan God. Now, there's a few issues with this premise right off the bat. The first is that, according to Dragon Ball Z, the original legendary Super Saiyan did not become a thing on planet Vegeta. The original legendary Super Saiyan became a thing and destroyed the original homeworld of the Saiyans, planet Sadala. He transformed into a Great Ape and then a Super Saiyan, becoming a Golden Great Ape, and lost control of his power and destroyed planet Sadala, leaving the Saiyans without a homeworld. Eventually, they ended up going to Planet Plant, or Planet Sefuru, if you're watching the Japanese version or reading the Japanese version. Anyway, they go to Planet Plant and colonize the the Plantians, the Tuffles, or the Sifurians, whichever race you want to really talk about here, because we have a bunch of different names and we don't really know which one is the quote-unquote canon inhabitant of planet Sifuru. Anyway, there has never been another Super Saiyan after the planet Sifuru incident before Goku. And additionally, all who die go to Otherworld and get judged by King Yanma. This is outright stated in the manga and the anime. It doesn't make sense for Yamoshi to just be wandering the cosmos. And according to this backstory, Yamoshi had nothing to do with the Super Saiyan God ritual. So, how someone else managed to do this ritual at all and how this information was passed on, I have no fucking clue. But this backstory seems to create an implication that Yamoshi's spirit is what causes the Super Saiyan God transformation. They perform a ritual and Yamoshi's spirit enters the Saiyan who is the target of the ritual, elevating them to become a Super Saiyan God. But the spirit can only stay in them for so long, which is why the form has a time limit. That's what the implication is. And it doesn't make sense. Especially if the ritual is... Especially if Yamoshi's spirit is supposed to be what causes the transformation in the first place. Because this would mean... This would have to mean that in order for someone to become a Super Saiyan God, they need to merge temporarily with Yamoshi's spirit in order to become a Super Saiyan God. But Goku and Vegeta can both become Super Saiyan Gods without the ritual, and they can do so at the same time. So, there's only two possible explanations here, assuming that Yamoshi's spirit is what turns them into Super Saiyan Gods. Either Yamoshi's spirit is splintered amongst all the Saiyans involved in the ritual, in which case they can all do it because they all have a fragment of Yamoshi's spirit, which theoretically would make sense. Or the... I don't even fucking know. Because Goku in Super does say that the Super Saiyan God power speaks to him, which you would think would lend itself to the idea that Yamoshi's spirit is entering them and making them as powerful as they are. But it doesn't really make sense. It really doesn't. And if this form was just limited to the ritual, that would make this make a lot more sense, but you would still have the issue of Yamoshi's spirit somehow wandering the cosmos instead of going to Otherworld, like every other soul does. Hi. So I didn't really explain myself all that well with one of my points here, and it is the one where I said that Goku and Vegeta can become Super Saiyan Gods at the same time. This is never shown in regards to the anime. It is shown in the manga, but this would have to apply to Super Saiyan Blue as well, because Super Saiyan Blue is an evolution of God. Super Saiyan Blue is Goku and Vegeta going Super Saiyan on top of Super Saiyan God, as I will get into in just a moment. So if Yamoshi's spirit is required for them to go into Super Saiyan God, then both Goku and Vegeta would have to have it at the same time, which could explain the splintered soul theory, but it's never implied that this is the case, especially because the Super Saiyan God power never speaks to either Goku or Vegeta after the Battle of Gods arc. And additionally, after the Battle of Gods arc, one of the unique powers of Super Saiyan God is never shown again. That being a godly healing factor that Goku has in the anime version of Dragon Ball Super. Beerus shoves his hand through Goku's chest and outspills like godly fire or whatever from Goku's chest. The one fucking time, actually, that a character gets impaled in Super, and I don't have an issue with it, because instead of there being blood, there's fire coming out. It's the Super Saiyan God power spilling out of Goku's body. As opposed to every other fucking time where it's either just a black hole where there's no blood, there's no nothing, or there's like white sparkly shit coming out of them, like when Gohan cuts off Piccolo's arm. Anyway, this is not about that. So maybe the Yamoshi spirit thing could theoretically make sense, but I don't know. It has too many holes in it for me to really consider it being a thing, especially because Yamoshi is never brought up by anyone. So this just kind of seems like the S-Cell thing that Toriyama brought up in another interview, where it's like, oh, well, Saiyans have to be like very peaceful or whatever in order for them to get enough S-Cells to become Super Saiyans and whatnot. And because Saiyans were a very battle-hardened race before Goku, then he didn't have, they couldn't have built up enough S-Cells to become Super Saiyans. This explanation only really works with Goku and Gohan and Goten. Maybe Trunks, like present Trunks, but like it doesn't work with Vegeta. It doesn't work with future Trunks. It doesn't work with Broly. I don't think it works with Caulifla. Probably doesn't work with the manga version of Kale. So this theory kind of falls apart because Toriyama didn't think through his own fucking series. And yeah, I don't know. That's par for the course for the man. And anyway, back to the video. I got nothing more to say here. But here is where I have to get supremely nerdy. So, the biggest issue with Super Saiyan God, its first backstory. For those wondering, there's no backstory in Battle of Gods in either the anime or the manga. The only backstory we get is that this form somehow is written in the Namekian Book of Legends. How the Namekian Book of Legends has instructions on how to turn Saiyans into gods, we don't fucking know. There's not really a backstory, it's just the information was written in a book that the Namekians happen to have. Go figure. Anyway, this is where we have to really kind of get nerdy when I talk about the power of Super Saiyan God, because this is a big issue with the first backstory from the Battle of Gods movie. And I apologize because I have to get super nerdy and talk about math. Power multipliers and power levels. So, in order to talk about this, I need to give you guys a disclaimer that I am going with the lowest of possible lowballs here. The power multiplier of Super Saiyan God is likely, very likely actually, to be far, far greater than what I calculated. But this is for the sake of a demonstration. Okay. Goku's highest base form power level that we have ever received in the series is 3 million. If we assume that Vegeta caught up to him by the time of Battle of Gods, and Goku and Vegeta never went beyond this power level, both having a power level of 3 million, then we multiply their power levels together, because keep in mind that Super Saiyan God is supposed to be stronger than Vegito. So that's kind of where we have to do our math. 3 million times 3 million is 9 trillion. Potara Fusion is Fighter A multiplied by Fighter B. So 3 million times 3 million is 9 trillion. Multiply that again by 400 for Super Saiyan 3, since Super Saiyan God Goku would have to be far stronger than a Super Saiyan 3 Vegito, since the fusions have access to all the powers, abilities, techniques, etc. of their individual parts. 9 trillion times 400 for Super Saiyan 3, and you get 3 quadrillion 600 trillion. Now, for this simplistic calculation, we're going to be assuming that Super Saiyan God is only a 10 times multiplier off of Super Saiyan 3 Vegito. It's likely far, far higher than this, but for the sake of this lowball calculation, I'm going with 10 times. 3 quadrillion 600 trillion times 10 is 36 quadrillion. Meaning, Super Saiyan God Goku. Meaning, Super Saiyan God Goku, if we go off of the assumption that Goku never got any higher than 3 million base power in the Namek arc, would have a total power level, lowballed of course, of 100 septillion 800 sextillion. For those wondering, here's this number written out. This would be the multiplier of Super Saiyan God at the lowest of possible lowballs that you can possibly give this transformation. So, how did Yamoshi lose to a bunch of great apes with a power level multiplier of 36 quadrillion compared to the 10 times of great ape? It simply doesn't make any sense. And for those wondering, Super Saiyan Blue has the exact same fucking problem. Because Super Saiyan Blue is indicated to be a 50 times multiplier on top of Super Saiyan God. Because Blue is supposed to be the user's going into Super Saiyan God as though it's a second base form, and going Super Saiyan on top of it. So, assuming that's what we're working with, Super Saiyan Blue, based on this extreme lowball calculation, would have a multiplier of 1 quintillion 800 quadrillion. Again, here's that number written out for you guys. But, that is not the only issue here. See, if this is the lowball calculation, which again is a lowball calculation because I had to supremely nerf Goku and Vegeta in order for this multiplier to really work, because Goku and Vegeta got far, far stronger than the 3 million base power of Planet Namek. But that is putting that aside. If we assume that this is the multiplier of Super Saiyan God, that's a hell of a lot higher than 400, and even with just Super Saiyan, the 50 times multiplier, which again is a lowball calculation, because it's actually far greater than that, according to Toriyama. Anyway, if we assume that this is the lowball calculation, None of the other Z Fighters should ever, in a million years, be able to catch up to Goku and company. They couldn't even catch up to Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan changed the game when it came to Dragon Ball. None of the other Z Fighters who were non-Saiyans could really keep up with the power multiplication. That's why Krillin retired. That's why Yamcha retired. That's why Tien kind of just vanished from the story. That's why Piccolo stopped fighting. It was all about the Saiyans. And to give you guys a bit of insight to this, Goku absorbs this level of power into his base form. And he can go Super Saiyan God on top of this. So, Goku absorbed 36 quadrillion times his base power into his base form, and can transform into Super Saiyan God at will, becoming 36 quadrillion times stronger. Yeah, that's kind of a big leap. This level of power completely fucks up the power scaling. Nobody should ever be able to get this strong out of the Z Fighters. And it really fucks up the power scaling because Frieza shouldn't have even been able to become as strong as Super Saiyan 3 as quickly as he did. But knowing this, Frieza got 1,800 quadrillion times stronger in 4 months. And I know that Toriyama or whoever didn't really think about the math. They did not think about the absurd level of power that they were playing with when they made these forms. I know. But based on the story that they wrote, this is what they did. They were playing around with powers they did not understand. Quite literally. And this isn't even getting into issues with Super Saiyan God, like Goku and Vegeta being able to go into this form at will. If they can go into this form at will, this is something that can be gone into without the ritual, then what the fuck was the point in the ritual? It takes away from the uniqueness of this form and everything else. And not to mention, before Dragon Ball Super, before Battle of Gods, God was just a title. It was just a title. Being a god did not mean you had godlike power. It did not mean that you could destroy universes. It did not mean that you had some unique type of energy that nobody fucking explains. It was just a title. It was a job. Kami was not a literal god. He had the job of God of Earth. That's it. That's all it was. Same thing with King Kai. He was not a literal god. He did not have god energy or anything. He was the Lord of Lords in the manga. He is the North Kai. A guy whose job it is to watch the entire North Galaxy. That's it. That's all his power amounted to. With this all said, now we can get into my problems with Super Saiyan Blue. And my problem with Super Saiyan Blue, I've already gone into part of it. It's level of power. It is 1,800 quadrillion times base power. Super low ball for this multiplier. But even more than that, This level of power, this form is completely fucking stupid. It is unneeded. It doesn't make any goddamn sense as to what it is and how it works. This is the first time in all of Dragon Ball history, there's not even another example of this ever happening in anything else, of someone basically combining two forms. Super Saiyan Blue is like thinking about God as the second base form. You go Super Saiyan on top of Super Saiyan God. This is the first and only time something like this ever happens. No other form is like this. There's not a single other transformation that is even remotely like this in this regard, where you just combine two transformations. So that's the first issue. Because it creates a precedent that if Super Saiyan Blue is just going Super Saiyan on top of God, why does it stop at Super Saiyan 1? Why can't they go Super Saiyan 2? Or 3? Or hell, if Daima is a continuation of Super, which a lot of people are claim and think, Super Saiyan 4. Where does it end? So that's the first issue. The second one is how Blue works. Super Saiyan Blue, according to Toriyama, and this particular information is reiterated in many other sources as well. Super Saiyan Blue is a result of Goku, specifically, he mentions Goku, learning how to be tranquil and calm in a fight. He has learned how to be calm and tranquil during a fight, and learned how to perfectly control his energy. A lot of people misinterpret what is said about Blue, that Blue gives you perfect energy control. It's the opposite. You need perfect energy control to use Blue. Here's kind of the issue with this. Not only has Goku learned how to be calm and tranquil in a fight long before his training with Whis, Blue is never depicted as being a calm, tranquil form. At all. Goku and Vegeta do not at all look or act calm and tranquil. And as a matter of fact, if this is a requirement for Blue, which it seems like it is, based on Toriyama's wording, based on what is said in official merch descriptions, based on what Goku himself has fucking said in the series, then one, why don't they act calm? Why don't they look calm? And shouldn't them getting angry in this form also be a detriment? Shouldn't it make it so they aren't controlling their power as well as they should? Shouldn't it be that when they get angry in this form, it either boots them out of the form or the form becomes unstable in some way, like having a blowback effect? Because they get angry several fucking times in this form. Just off of the top of my head, Goku gets angry in this form when he is facing off against Zamasu and Black, when they tell Goku about how Black killed Chi-Chi and Goten. And Goku gets super pissed off and beats Black's ass for a while, until he just stops randomly so Black can get stronger and do his little dancey scythe move thing and put him on his ass. And again, in that same arc, when Vegeta gets super mad when he's also fighting against Black, it's outright stated by Black that Vegeta, he got so much stronger because he was angry. he was angry at Black. Not helped by... To be fair, this is the English localization, so not really the official whatever, but if that's what you want to go with, then Goku's tone of voice doesn't really change with basically any of his forms in Japanese. But in the English dub, Sean Schimmel gives Blue Goku the same type of, like, super serious, angry voice that he gives something like Super Saiyan 3 and Super Saiyan 4. The deep, angry voice that he gives 3 and 4.
Hey. See, first, I have to go Super Saiyan. And then next, I go on up to Super Saiyan 2. Not bad, huh? But if you want, I can dial it back to 2 for you. You're wrong about Saiyans. Vegeta's always been obsessed with his pride. It's way more important to him than it is to me. It's a little more complicated than that. You don't have the patience for the full story. So let's say I got a taste of something called Super Saiyan God, and now I've learned to tap into that power on my own.
Blue is supposed to be a calm, tranquil form. Then why doesn't it feel like it? And this extends into things like Dragon Ball Super Broly, which I praised earlier in regards to Super Saiyan God. Goku and Vegeta both have to calm down and focus to go into Super Saiyan God. We see this with Vegeta. He's whizzing by Goku and flying high up in the air. He closes his eyes. He meditates for a brief second as he's flying through the air. His Super Saiyan aura disappears. He is covered in the red flames of Super Saiyan God as his hair changes to the crimson color of Super Saiyan God. And Vegeta's expression is also different. He doesn't have, like, the angry scruff in between his eyebrows most of the time in that form, in that movie. He has, like, a more focused sort of expression. Not exactly calm, but closer than, than it would have been if they gave him the same sort of expression. And Goku's the same way. Goku, he hops back for a second. He seals his energy in his body, presumably. That's what this looks like. And he sort of calms down, opening his eyes, and he gets his, like, more happy expression with the rounder eyes. His eyes aren't like the angry eyes. And it even shows in the way they fight. They're a lot more focused. They're a lot less, like, willy-nilly with their attacks. They fight like calm, trained, tactful warriors.
Although that's not always been the case.
But when they go Super Saiyan Blue, I mean, just look at Goku here. He is furious. Based on his expression, his roars of his screams. And when he finally completes the transformation, he doesn't fight like a calm warrior. He fights like someone who is angry. He fights with anger. And same with Vegeta. They don't fight like calm, tranquil warriors. And to kind of talk about this too, because I know someone's going to bring this up. Someone is likely going to bring up that you can be calm and angry at the same time. No, you can't. Calmness, literally by definition, as well as tranquility for that matter, is the absence of strong emotions like anger. Calmness is a neutral state. This is why when you, no matter what emotion you're feeling strongly, the phrase calm down applies to them all. If you're super happy and manic, someone's going to tell you to calm down. If you're super sad, you're bawling your eyes out, calm down. If you're super wrathful, you're furious, you're angry, calm down. Calmness is a neutral state. You can be focused and angry, that is certainly possible, but you cannot be calm. You cannot be calm and tranquil while you are angry. That is simply not how calmness works. And this is a big problem with Super Saiyan Blue. Beyond that, I just hate Blue's design. I've warmed up to it a lot more over the years, especially its Super Broly design. But I fucking hate this form. It is... And I haven't met a single person who loves Blue. Like, says it's one of their favorite transformations. I'm sure they're out there, but... I don't know. Like, Blue is pretty much a representation of everything wrong with, like, Dragon Ball Super. It is a lazy recolor made to just make money. Because Super and even Resurrection F, they were made to be cash cows. And that's all I see with all these recolor transformations in Super. None of them make any sense. The lore behind them is non-existent for most of them. They're not really depicted as being all that strong, even though lore-wise they're extremely strong. And none of them really do or look cool, like, at all. None of them do anything cool. None of them look cool. None of them are really all that epic. Aside from, like, Ultra Instinct Omen. And Mastered Ultra Instinct in the manga. So that's kind of my problem with God and Blue and God Energy. They're not explained all that well. They don't make any sense. Design-wise, Super Saiyan God's cool, I guess, but... Design-wise, Blue sucks. They don't make any sense. The lore behind them is either non-existent or whatever. And on top of that, Blue, despite being lowball 1,800 quadrillion times base power, it's not depicted as being all that strong. Blue continually gets his ass beat in just about every arc that it's in without assistance. Blue loses to Golden Frieza. It loses to Hit. It loses to Goku, Black and Zamasu. It loses to Jiren. It loses to Broly. It loses to Moro. It loses to Granola. There's not really any cool moments with this form. And like I said before, this form didn't need to be tied to God Energy. It has nothing to do... That's another thing that I have a problem with in regards to Blue and God. Is Goku and Vegeta never learn God Energy in their base forms. They never learn how to utilize it. They just access transformations that have it as a bonus ability. You know, it's like they're putting on a piece of equipment that gives them, like, a perk. Congratulations, your stats went up. Also, you gain access to God Energy. Cool, that's an extra perk, right? They don't learn God Energy. They just shortcut their way to getting... it. Kind of like... That's kind of the thing with Ultra Instinct, too, is, like, Goku didn't really learn Ultra Instinct before the manga where he started learning it in his base form. He just had a transformation that had it as a perk. But, anyway, I've been going on for a while. I've been rambling, so to speak. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. How do you feel about God energy? How do you feel about Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue? Did I hit the nail on the head for a lot of you guys? Do you have any refutations to anything I've brought up? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.
Send the shaking square window!
The skies a bit clearer today. The rain has passed me by. I want to open